Looks like the snow's died down a decent amount, thankfully.
You had to jinx it.
What do you mean?
It's gonna get worse now.
No, it's not. It'll be fine.
So the blizzard has really cleared up. It's looking okay now.
Oh, and if it wasn't me, it was King.
Maybe King's got cock on his mind.
I mean, anything's a possibility.
Yeah, you never know.
I do want to go. I do want to go over to where the besties are and ask them a question.
Yeah, good idea. I want to get a Christmas New Year tarot reading, because the last one we got was kind of. That's what I got anyway. It was very ominous. I want some good news.
I haven't seen Beatrice in a long time.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, that car was speeding very heavily. Okay, all the lights are red. This intersection as well. Oh no, those
Just
turn
to keep
green.
everybody safe. And it's red again. Well, it's not your day.
Stop and go.
Honestly, this is my favorite law
Really?
that's been introduced, like a new one, you know?
People may not believe me, but I love it too. You know why?
Why?
People get the perception that they can overtake cars that are stopped at the red, but they can't.
No.
Who?
Who's that?
Frank Scaletta.
Anybody here?
Not seeing anyone.
Radio check.
10-2.
10-2.
Who was that? I think it was him.
What the? I'm leaving.
476 37.
37? Not the 37.
Crosswind route.
That's suspicious.
9 times out of 10, it's people stealing HVAC stuff. $390, also en route, and 23.
Looks like road. I don't see any vehicles in the line right behind the Calico garage.
Nah, I think there's one on the road. That's one up here. 10 jacket, 10 hat.
Oh, excuse me.
It's gonna be coming down when I can stay up, I think.
I guess
I'm
it's
getting
possible they had a
jammed.
vehicle in the garage.
He's coming down the ladder down. Running towards Colorful.
4-5's on scene.
Getting chased. He's just right into Colorful.
There's a car. There's a white car.
His jacket, base hat, black mask.
Okay, firm. They're getting into a 2-door sports vehicle registered to Kai Martin.
Good God. He's in a spaceship.
Hey,
We
firm.
southbound North Rockford Drive.
Taurus behind me. Go ahead and take secondary. I believe primary is doubled though.
Left to eastbound San Andreas.
Oh, whoa. Getting like weird traction on the
careful.
car.
Yeah, I saw that.
Doing eastbound San Andreas.
I felt it and I heard it. It was so strange.
Left northbound Los Lagunas. Left westbound towards Dorset Drive, onto Casa Way westbound. 8 Milton Parkway correction, and then left westbound Casa Way. Then left southbound Patola Drive, BCB. Doing hard send southbound Patola. then a left eastbound onto Vespucci, but would be CB. And sure of direction. It was southbound Cali, BCB.
Well,
Last seen southbound Cali Avenue.
I
That
don't
was very fast. I'm sorry, guys. I couldn't keep up with it.
I didn't think it would be that fast, truthfully.
Yeah, that was... I didn't think it'd be that quick either. Especially in the snow. Maybe it's a four-wheel drive.
I'm gonna check Kai Martin's profile, see if they own a property.
Do we know have any known affiliations or anything with Kai Martin?
The manor according to the profile.
Okay. I'm in the south side. He was going south. I'll go and check Grove Street area, see if I can see the spaceship car. I don't even know what that
Yeah,
was.
the
Was that a
house on
Lamborghini
Grove.
or what?
It was a
what was the plate?
standby. Zorusso? I've never heard that in my life.
It's a new one for me. I'm not sure on that one.
Started with AX.
See anything on Grove Street?
Oh, yeah, Zorusso.
What are the odds they return?
Is my car not fast enough for that one? Maybe I could go and get an interceptor out.
I've never encountered that vehicle before, so it's hard to say.
It may not have been quick. It was just holding his grip around corners. Like we got him clocked to 158.
Oh my god.
He was like super quick through corners, and that was where I was losing him because I just couldn't corner the same way.
What is calls from over here? I don't know how long ago they were. Right there to the left. I don't think
At the
anyone's
police
here.
station?
Remember when people used to grow weed underneath the little ramp over here?
Yep.
That's a throwback. Wait, can you get enough speed to go over? Oh, ow.
Yes is the answer.
We'll chill
But you
in
will
here.
lose 2 doors.
I mean, I'm good on my side. Don't worry.
You're out here like running stretch, running routes like a criminal.
You know, sometimes you gotta be ready.
You're out here asking gangsters if you're gonna end up in their gang and how long you're gonna.
Not
They doing
directly.
routes,
And
what's
it
going
was
on, mate? You got something to tell me?
No. I actually, yes. Yes, I do have something to tell you.
What's that?
I'm not Flop. Is that too much?
No, not too much, but I'm happy you're not doing that stuff. That's good.
You know, I had a conversation with Lucas about Flop today.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I think it's actually the first time I've spoken about Flop at all since all of this really started. And my TLDR was his relationship to Ziggy is okay. Well, for starters, Ziggy not getting into the police department obviously pushed him away. He then found a home with other people, and you know, the grass always looks greener on the other side, and he probably wanted to do whatever to support Ziggy, and is very likely why he left the PD. And you know, logically it would probably make more sense to leave during a time where PD is in a rough spot, to use it as like a
Like an excuse?
an excuse, yeah, a justification behind leaving, despite that not being the real intent. I mean, you and I both know how it is, especially in a gang or an MC or whatever. Like, there's no just walking away from it. We had those conversations with Ziggy, and everyone, and I mean, he sort of promised up and down that, you know, if he wanted to leave, nothing bad would happen, but I don't believe that to be the case. Not at all.
No, I don't either.
What I don't like is the fact that people who I've considered friends, family even, have felt that because they didn't get their jobs, specifically Ziggy and Snow, have now turned to a life of crime. And those talents and resources could have been utilized so much better had we have just had someone at the helm with a fucking brain cell. I don't know.
It's a difficult one, I'll be honest, because I agree with you. I do. But to me, you know, these people we once called friends and family, for them to even
Joey, 41 again.
to even
Hello.
consider going down the road they
Good to
have,
see you.
Hey.
to me there must have been the seed there in the
245
first
is
place.
looking for
I don't think-
snowballs.
Yes,
We're
yeah,
going
I
up
think
north.
them not getting
that.
hired was probably a trigger and pushed them. But you don't do the things, you know, they've done unless you thought about it or considered it in the first place. I don't know. I just
I don't disagree with you. When I was explaining it to Lucas, I was saying that I don't think it was the straw on the camel's back. I think it was a major weight that contributed early on that made it so that something else ended up being the straw on the camel's back, right? We see people daily who get taken hostage. Martha, prime example, wonderful person, not a bad bone in her body, right? But eventually, doesn't matter what kind of person you are going to you're going to be at your wit's end, right? When bad things just continuously happen to you because you are a single person surrounded by large groups of people who are all friends with each other, who take advantage of people who are alone. When you were previously surrounded by a large group of competent individuals who all got to have their job back, except you and a select few, like, we see daily what happens. Like, being told that Shlomi got shot today, I'm gonna be real, I haven't seen Manor around very often, which is probably why it happened. Now imagine being someone who was previously a cop without the protection of the police department, because you're now just a civilian seeking a job as a police officer, but you never get it. I think a lot of people would resort to doing things they otherwise wouldn't. And honestly, I can't imagine it was a situation where Snow, for example, went into it with the mentality of like, I'm going to do criminal activities, as much as it was he probably found someone he felt comfortable with who probably led him in to that lifestyle, and
Albert!
at some point you probably realize
Okay.
you're in too deep and there's no backing out, and the
landed it.
path of least resistance
W.
is
Wow.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
sort
I
of
can still
sticking
drive,
it
sir.
through. But you now have the protection of a group of people. You know what I mean? And to be clear, I'm not using that as like an excuse or like proper justification. I just believe that to be the case as to why it ended up being that way. And same thing with Ziggy. I would not be surprised if Snow and Ziggy have borderline identical situations where, you know, just the exact same thing happened, just with different groups.
You're probably right. You're probably right.
The only person I know that like hasn't necessarily delved into stuff, maybe two people. I don't know. I don't know what Jenny's been up to, but DuPont, I think, is a prime example.
Jenny's not a good example.
Okay. Well, DuPont certainly is a prime example, in my opinion. And I wonder if she ever ended up getting her interview for Shift 1. I spoke with Ing regarding it, because I would love to see DuPont back in the police department. I would fucking love to see DuPont. But at the same time, you know, like, I had my frustrations back then, and I was in the police department. It was just fucking rough. But it also took, like, an additional toll knowing that, like, these very competent people were available and were just overlooked.
Albert, what car are you
what's
in?
nagging at my mind is whether or not it
I'm
would
in
have changed
I'm in
anything.
my
Like, you know,
Premier at the moment. It's still
like Flop got hired, and look where he's ended up.
Okay, but I think it's different in Flop's case because okay.
What car are you in?
This conversation I was having with Lucas was making like, we were like comparing, let's say, Sky, who is with Perez, who's in Hades, from my understanding, right? To Flop and Ziggy. And I think the massive difference is the start of Flop and Ziggy's relationship, they were both on the same side. Whereas the start of Sky and Perez's relationship, they were not. And I think the important aspect of that is they probably drew lines in their relationship pretty early on regarding how they would deal with those things that never had to be drawn until Bob got his job back and Ziggy didn't. And Ziggy started doing other things and probably played it off as if it wasn't as bad as it actually was, similar to what he did with us in that, you know, that conversation. And then, you know, you care for someone a lot and you're willing to make sacrifices for that person. And you realize they're too far in. And the only way you can keep them safe to the best of your ability is to be alongside them just about every step of the way. And surrounding yourself with those same, you know, groups of individuals. But again, the reason I think it's different is because the foundation of those relationships started very differently, despite it eventually ending in, you know, officers dating or being married to someone kind of on the other side.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I want to know where it started, Flop, you know? Like, how long the idea of not being a cop or doing this kind of stuff has been in his head, you know?
I mean, I think it's something that's floated through a lot of our minds. Anyone in the skeleton crew, right? Like, we've been ran through the fucking ringer. Like it wasn't a good, healthy environment, and it hadn't been for a very long time. And then it got better, and then it got worse. I think it was just, honestly, I think it was just the circumstances of the police department being bad and it being a convenient way to realign himself with his husband. Like, there's no way you can convince me that Flop on his own without Ziggy would have ever made that same decision. I think he knew the moment he left the police department he would have a job at Milton's, which isn't surprising because let's not forget he worked at Harmony before. He worked at other mechanic shops. Like, this is within his wheelhouse, except this specific mechanic shop being aligned with ADMC,
Right.
which surrounds him even further with people in the ADMC. And even prior to that, the adoption of Rue. Like, everything just kept leading to further and further routes into ADMC. And it is what it is. I think if we had a conversation with Flop, he would probably argue and say Ziggy had nothing to do with it. And he may even believe that. But again, there's no amount of money in this world that would convince me that if Ziggy was not in the equation, he, you know, he would still be part of ADMC.
And you know what I think he'd say? I think he'd say it was awful. That he was where he is.
And
I'm coming.
I'm sorry, but I'm a firm believer in that, you know, you need to take responsibility for your own actions. And if you are in a situation that you don't like, or if you're in a family setting in which you don't feel someone is doing enough,
We're gonna land at the canals.
speak with them, bring it up. And
the
if you
sad
don't,
thing is,
Canals northbound. I'll flip the tour.
if you don't, I think you lose your right to complain.
I completely agree. And I think the saddest part is after everything that's happened with the family and him leaving the PD and everything, the only thing he's taking responsibility for is killing that cop, killing Pierce.
You're right. I'm wrapping from Center Jason Strawberry intersection.
Nothing else was his fault. But he admits that publicly. I don't know.
I think that's done out of necessity, though. As in, again, I think it solely boils down to his ties to Ziggy and Ziggy's, you know, position in the ADMC.
Right, northbound Las Lagunas.
He feels he has to go above and beyond to prove himself. He was given the opportunity. If he said no, I think that would reflect very poorly on him, but also Ziggy. Probably didn't want to do that, and then ultimately came up with, I mean, he didn't come up with that. That was determined for him. Like, he was told what to do. There's not a doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
He followed through with what he was told, and that's that. Like, I don't think it was him that decided those things. So I don't know. It's just such a strange thing. Especially considering, like, ADMC specifically always announce what they do. You know? So it's not a coincidence that the moment he put out that twat, everything got retwatted by ADMC members. And that's because that was for sure his, like, proper initiation into ADMC.
24th Secondary westbound southbound.
And yet, when he sat in the car, I don't know if I ever explained this to you. He was sitting in the passenger seat of a car I tried to pull over, and McQuillan was in the driver's seat. Did I explain that to you?
Yeah, you told me, yeah.
Not a fucking word. Nothing.
Switching seats, never disregard. This was trying to find his car, but it's all the way up the hill.
And I had no clue it was him. It was just someone in the passenger seat. Sean said, "Oh, it's a friend. They're not talkative or whatever." I don't remember. It was so long ago. And I kind of just like shrugged it off because I had to go and respond to something else. And then they continue in the direction of Milton's, and they minutes later. Did he ever get charged? Oh, what's going on with that?
It's on the docket. He's awaiting trial.
Is he not pleading guilty?
Palomino, San Andreas, it is
Doesn't look like it.
northbound.
I don't really know what's happening. It's Sky's case. Yeah, I don't know.
Sean McQuillan has a warrant out for his arrest for the murder.
When does it expire? Because I extended it a few days ago.
It expires 29th, so in 2 days. But it's, from my understanding, to be indefinitely extended.
Yeah.
You also can't convince me that he would do all this, take ownership, and then just like how do I explain this? Takes ownership and by way of pretty much openly admitting that he did it, but specifically to the police, not like in a roundabout way. It was straight up, I did it.
Yep.
I don't understand why, unless again it was something sort of demanded or expected by the club, which would make sense actually, considering you know the prior encounters with police and ADMC.
I think it might have been replied because you sent a text to one of the members with the 911 that he did, like almost as proof.
I don't know. I'm fucking lost. I have no idea.
Is that black car southbound? Is that? Yeah, southbound is
Why don't get in all of this is Ziggy.
Oh my god.
I mean,
you know what I just realized?
Wait,
What's that?
I'm actually fucking fine. Hello?
When I was speaking to
What in the fucking T-Rex?
I was at Little Soul. I don't think you were with me at this time. Wait, you were with me. You remember at Lucky Plucker? I mentioned, you know, oh, well, if you were to go undercover, what is a gang going to get you to do to prove? And I said they're going to have you murder someone, like in front of them, because you can't simultaneously pretend to be
Sent it off road right there if we didn't see them
A cult.
cutting off to the freeway.
Right.
Or not.
well, you, a criminal, but while simultaneously being a cop and using information to further an investigation after you murdered someone. Like,
Yeah.
like you can't murder an innocent person to save your life. Like, legally, that doesn't work, even under duress. Like, you have a gun to your head, you have a gun aimed at someone else, the person behind you with the gun to your head says, shoot that person, or you're dead. Unfortunately, if you shoot that person, it's still murder, even if under duress. And it's crazy to me that, like, I brought that up in conversation earlier, and then realizing that that is exactly what they did to Flock. This is exactly what they fucking did. They had him murder a cop.
I'm pretty sure I fucked one of you up.
Specifically a cop.
I wasn't 100% there.
Yeah.
As means of like cutting the ties permanently from the police department and proving that it's not him just being undercover. It's dirty. That's really, really dirty.
What do we do now?
Dispatch 245. Does anybody know if the different tires affect your driving in this weather? Or is that just
I don't know.
not true?
I mean, you and I both agreed to do something, but I'm gonna be real. The reality
I'm not sure. I got slick
is
so
that
it'll be okay.
anytime I run into ADMC, they outnumber the police department.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And I'll be honest, I don't want to do it to save him from
No.
that group because he's beyond saving at this point. If anything, I want to do it to make everything he did worth mean nothing. And maybe he can actually take the time to think about what he's done when there's no club left standing and he's just a murderer. Maybe then it will click what he's, you know, how he's fucked his life up for nothing. And like I was saying, me and Ziggy had a whole talk about, you know, flop and everything and making sure that he doesn't get hurt from all this. And I guess he's just stepped aside or let this happen and now Flop's, you know, in the club. Doesn't seem like he'd let that happen. But what can we expect?
I think we knew Ziggy was in a
Did
bad
we
spot.
call the
We
99 Alpha?
sort of hoped for the best, and unfortunately, there isn't always a positive outcome in situations.
No.
And that sucks. Because genuinely, I do think in an ideal world, if they could have had the opportunity to sort of like
24, 10, 42.
reposition from ADMC and collectively both be in the police department, I think they probably would. Now, not right now,
Probably.
to be clear. I mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
before everything happened. Right now, I think they have too many deep-rooted connections at this point. You know, they feel they likely owe others, you know?
Yeah. They're too far gone at this point, but it's all right.
I mean, I
still
don't
got
like
each other,
it.
we still got Etcher, and you know that's what matters. So
True. I felt so bad because when it happened, I obviously knew, and when I say I knew, I called out the vehicle on radio. Sky had mentioned Flop
What's up?
being in that exact outfit that I described,
Hey, 432
and then it all
Good
clicked.
morning.
And the
Hi,
moment it
Viv.
did, Sky pretty much on
Morning.
radio said like, nobody talk about it, blah blah blah. And my concern, especially with proximity from the hospital to where ADMC is, when Etta called me, I was concerned that people could be listening into the phone call. And so I was like, Etta, I hate to do this, but we cannot have this conversation over the phone.
Well, I had to say hello.
And
In
then
case you didn't realize who I was.
Oh
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Sean was waiting for her
No, but my voice is so
at the hospital.
undistinguishable.
And then I took her car,
I'm gonna be honest.
brought it into Mission Row, into the motor pool, and we sat there and talked for quite some time. And then I got into her car.
Maybe we should change that.
I drove off, and Sean was waiting right by Fantastic Place
Give me
off of
that.
Vespucci.
Shouldn't Libby clock
I
in
drove
for work,
off.
don't you
They never
think?
followed
Should he
me.
clock in more 'cause you don't clock in enough?
I sort of circled, I circled around for a bit, and when I returned, he was
Hey,
gone.
Bev, shouldn't I get the hat?
They were definitely waiting for the opportunity.
Yeah, I'm just saying it. Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
you hear that, Lucas? So...
and they already tried once. I think, so.
You're doing too much.
I don't know. We gotta.
I'm gonna tell Scafe about your little hat.
I don't know what we're gonna do. Maybe it's gonna be my New Year's resolution to go after the ADMC,
How
but
much trouble would I get
for
up?
now I think we just gotta
No trouble, no trouble.
have to
Don't
pick
pull
and
worry.
up our
choose our battles.
bootstraps
I'm
and
gonna
exactly
do something
and
else, but you could...
keep on doing what we're doing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, you do what you want at your own discretion.
Get by for now.
okay?
Wait
For
until
anyone who's not me, don't follow
the
my
circumstances
example.
sort
There
of
we go.
surrounding
I
us
gave
get
the warning,
better.
I gave the warning.
Perfect.
And when we're equipped to deal with it, that's when we deal
I
with
get a
it.
status check on
Gotcha.
390. Matt Rose, are you on
I'm
the
Motion
land of
King.
the living, babe? Okay.
I
401 from 432.
Hello?
I don't like Sean
Are you here for real this time?
because
There's nothing to like.
I bet
Like,
at first I would have disagreed with you, because
I just thought you would take a bit
when
more
I
time.
spoke with him regarding that whole situation where he kidnapped
No need to run me
Espinosa and I shot him, and it was all
So
because he
I was
wanted
under the
information and blah blah blah. Like, he seemed genuine. He seemed genuine, and we had, you know, a heart to heart, and you know, briefly discussed flop. And I don't know, similar to Ziggy, where I knew it was a bad situation, but I wanted the outcome to not be bad, and I was hoping it wouldn't be bad, but I also know it's out of my hands, so you kind of just sit there and shrug and go, yeah, all right, you know, and hope for the best. And then it just got considerably worse over time. And knowing full well that he has a warrant out for his arrest for that same murder, he was definitely the one to put him up to it. Especially considering, I forget who told me, I don't know if it was you, but the whole Edda situation. Yeah. That was Sean, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
I don't think the ADMC realized this, but like, Sean's the head that needs to be cut off. But when you're such a high, you know, you're so high on the totem pole, no one's going to be willing to do that.
No, of course not. I mean, my opinion, he's nothing more than a snake, and I don't mean that in the typical sense that everybody uses, but I think both he and everybody else realizes that his only, you know, decent quality is his bite. There's nothing else about him. He's just an angry little man who just has some venom and he just uses it. There's nothing else good about it. It's just like that time in the Marshall parking lot. There was like 5, 6 ADMC. All I was doing was talking. And they couldn't handle it, and Sean pulled a gun.
Hey guys, if I die, my $33,000
Because I called him
goes to the,
one too many names.
funding of the design of the LSPD wide brim hat. Thank you.
That's all he is. He's a gun. He's a bite. That's it. And you know, people like him get ahead in the world because no one fights back. And in a gang setting, that's what's gonna get you ahead.
On a gang setting, you fall in line.
How would the brakes, I say?
You find vulnerable
We'll find
people
out, Albert says as he
who
drives
don't
me
have
first into a fucking
much
tree.
direction in their life, who are lacking things in their life. You provide them with basic necessities. You provide them with the sense of family and security, even though that's not really the case. You're in more danger. And
Frank, are you in
you have people loyal to you despite the fact that you've given them very little outside of someone to look at when they look left and right. Even if those people don't have the best of intentions, doesn't matter.
Go east on Picture Perfect, because I think it's moving, right?
I can call it the truck race nearby.
You know this about me. I
Maybe it's not. Maybe it's
I would love
Westbound Eastwards Drive, if
to
it's
get
green color, left southbound.
I would love to get into the mind of someone like Sean to figure out how and why they ended up where they did.
Oh my god, they're playing leapfrog right now. Southbound North Rockford.
Yep.
Oh, breaking? No. Okay.
The same
I think,
reason I would love to get into the minds of like a serial killer. Find out, you know, what the contributing factors as to why they did what they did, and what was the straw on the camel's back.
Oh, I've seen some shit left eastbound San Andreas.
I think for some people, it's, you know, it's a sad story of a rough childhood and just wrong circumstances or bad circumstances that led it to him. But I think other circumstances, like Sean, I think he's just a sociopath.
We're smoking.
And that's it. I don't want to give him, you know, some soppy story that's led him to doing this live. I don't think that's him.
You know, I want to agree with you, but then I think back to the snow situation, and I go, had the circumstances have been different, right? Like, and obviously I say this from like a biased perspective, but like, then I think of other situations in which, like, I don't know Sean's past, right? Like, so it's like we're purely just assuming, and I've never spoken to Sean at length outside of very few circumstances, but you then consider someone like Snow or Ziggy, like I knew these people, and I know the reason they ended up in the situations that they were in is because of circumstances beyond their control. And let me correct myself, to be clear, I don't want there to be any confusion. I think they were fully in control, but picked what they felt would keep them safe the best. And it sort of slipped and slipped and slipped until they're in the positions that they're in now. They're in too deep, and there's no turning back.
Westbound San Andreas.
So it'd be very hypocritical of me to say I understand
Left eastbound
or could understand where someone like Snow or Ziggy would be coming from, but then say I wouldn't understand Sean. It's just more difficult to understand Sean because I don't know him. You know what I mean?
I need to hiccup.
Yeah.
Which is why I would love to know why.
Good northbound Elgin. Might have just thrown a snowball at us. It's crazy. Northbound Elgin.
I don't care to know why. Just he's a sick bastard at the end of the day.
You're not wrong.
Last
There's a special place in hell for
Benny.
someone who would be openly willing to cop a murder charge alongside somebody else.
If that's Lucas. Right,
It is.
westbound Pewick.
And let's not forget, like, remember the hot gun situation that you questioned me about?
Left, southbound
Yeah.
Los Lagunas.
He kept that on him.
Past my bedtime, so southbound
Intentionally.
Los Lagunas. Right, westbound Dorset.
Yeah. And the other day when we were talking, he openly admitted that he killed Jazz. That he
Slowing but continuing westbound Dorset. Left, southbound.
in that whole
Virginia.
situation.
Left, eastbound Vespucci.
See that, Frank?
Yeah, I think
know.
I think what little I know, I no longer think I'm being a hypocrite in saying I understand where someone like Snow would be coming from, but not
Mm-hmm.
Sean. I think there's enough to. I think there's enough to
You're northbound Oak.
acknowledge that just something ain't right.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
Right,
different.
eastbound
I know it's bad to
Oak.
say, but you know, some people kill someone else out of survival or necessity, and they'll do everything they can to get away with
Southbound
it,
Tower
right?
Street is free.
Because they don't want to go to prison. It's survival instincts. But then there's people like Sean who will kill to kill. Like they'll kill to
sport.
get rid of someone or for sport, yeah.
With Spooky.
And then he's keeping on to the gun because he's playing with the police. You know, that's not
Northbound Elgin.
the kind of person that's redeemable or came from somewhere good.
It's the fucking person you find out has a fucking human head in a freezer.
Yeah.
Continuing northbound Elgin over Haywick.
I don't know. We could talk about. There's so many people out there in the city that we could be here all day trying to psychoanalyze them, but it's never going to happen. But the only people we can psychoanalyze is ourselves
Left
and
southbound Power.
keeping ourselves in check. That's all we can do, really.
Continuing southbound Power.
Well, Aubrey Webster's offering a job. I might quit and just go work for him. He's
know,
really
if
good,
I-
apparently.
If I had the time, I'd consider calling him.
Right north.
Call him.
No. I have to be going 42, unfortunately. Man,
Westbound location.
I'm not
Northbound
happy or content
left westbound.
where things are, but like, I've also acknowledged that
Right northbound.
it's all entirely out of my hands, and you can't convince me that there's anything either of us could have done to change the outcome of those specific circumstances. Nobody could. Bob can tell me to my face it's our fault, and there's no chance in hell I would be able to acknowledge that as the truth.
You know, the day I found out what happened, I went to the bench in Mirror Park
Right eastbound.
where we had that talk with him,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a note on the table that said things could have been different.
Continuing eastbound Mirror Park Boulevard.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Heading southbound Mirror Park Boulevard.
Still thinks that either me or
Passing the light.
us were the ones that pushed him in this direction. Well, I mean, he can't. The boy doesn't know how to take responsibility for anything.
Continuing southbound
Because maybe
Elgin
somewhere deep
Boulevard
down he
now.
knows what he's done is wrong, and he doesn't want to accept the
Right,
fact that he
westbound
made those
Capitol.
choices and he put himself in the position that he is.
Into the alleyway that leads to the freeway. There's a red car here.
I actually have to park this up north, but your vehicle's down here, right?
Southbound onto the
Yeah.
freeway, I believe.
I'll leave on this.
Yeah, a firm southbound incorrect lanes are listed.
I would not be surprised, especially knowing what little information I know about Rue and how that sort of relationship started and how Rue needed help and all that stuff. I would not be surprised if Rue ends up getting put in a situation, makes a bad call, they get upset with Rue, Rue does something dumb or no longer wishes to speak to them, and they end up realizing that you can try your absolute best. And I say it all the
Hey,
time.
what up, officer?
What are you doing?
Merry Christmas.
What the fuck? Hello?
Fuck me, man! Was there a
Leave.
fucking stones in those?
Leave.
God damn it!
You better not have another
Oh.
one. Oh, absolutely the fuck not.
Get him. No. No! Not our car, bro! Not our car, man! Holy shit, hey, that's just rude, man.
Yeah, and so is opening the trunk and trying to. Oh, gotta go. Oh. We'll finish this another day.
Okay, yeah. You
Oh, careful,
you
careful!
get
They're
go.
throwing stuff. They're throwing stuff.
Hey.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep the trunk shut.
We need to go get some more snowball. Oh.
Oh.
Are we
Awkward.
taking you to court?
Okay, my name's Matt Rhodes. It's not a hit and run. All right, we're gonna have to refill this and then park it up. I won't be able to go to... I don't think I'll be able to go to chicken. Ooh. The dodge, the weave? Sean McQuillan.
Hello?
Hey, just a heads up. Just as I was taking the 68 turn off, my rear radar caught a plate. Sean McQuillan. Just be careful.
Okay. I appreciate the heads up.
All right. Love you.
Love you too. Bye-bye.
All right, chat. I'm calling it. Didn't even get into the damn locker room. You have to dip. With that being said, thank y'all so much for all love support. I appreciate it. Thank y'all for the follows, host rates, bits, donation subs, get subs, resubs. I say this each and every time. I genuinely kind of ask for a better community to be built around this channel. So thank y'all for being absolutely amazing. If y'all haven't already, follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/Curvyelephant. Join our Discord, discord.gg/Curvyelephant. And if you enjoyed what you saw today, let me follow. Did I say that yet? I don't think so. I'm gonna get y'all sent off to Sock. Go show him some love. Chat, seriously, thank y'all for the incredible amount of support today. Y'all are fucking amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will be live tomorrow. Ideally starting early. Asterisk, who knows? It all depends. But I had a blast. Yeah.